So I think TV programmatic buying is right now it is a panacea. We asked for our call for papers. Programmatic buying, problem or panacea. I think it is a panacea. It's like the internet. It's just going to be an explosion of adoption, experimentation. People are going to all want to get on the bandwagon and they're going to try it out. And then there's going to be a bit of a sorting out period because it's going to work brilliantly in some situations, and other organizations and systems are going to conclude that it doesn't work all that well. So I think there's going to be an explosion of adoption, and then it will settle out over the course of the next 3 years from the standpoint of these are the particular places where it makes the most sense to be applying, and these are the other places where actually other approaches, whether they be the traditional or complementary in terms of adapting. It's kind of art and science, adapting both these really sophisticated algorithms for addressable audiences, and then a little bit more of the fingertips in terms of what are the insights around when and how and who we're really trying to reach, and why that's the right person at the right time.
I think programmatic for television is inevitable. It's just a question of degree. So how much is automated, how much is planned, and how much is executed really comes down to both the buyer and the seller coming to an agreement on how much is automated and how much is pre-sold in advance, and then how much is evaluated. And the question comes down to metrics.
I see it as very necessary, but probably still very much in its infant stages in terms of not necessarily in the execution of it, but in terms of the validation and getting people to accept it in an industry where old habits die hard. So I'm excited about it. I think we should bring it on, but I think it's going to be brought in slower than most people would expect.
Okay, programmatic for TV is not going to be 100%. In fact, one could say, having been part of the launch of television optimizers many years ago, that in a way programmatic is already there in TV. Programmatic, of course, has nothing to do with environment and content, which is so important in the placement of advertising in television. It's about the automation in the television environment, whether you're on the sell side or the buy side. Are we going to see more automation of the basic data and metrics and avails and pricing? Yes, we are. But is it going to be, real time, instantaneous buying on all completely driven by machine? No.
Programmatic, I think, is one of the most exciting things that's happening in television. We're all in the process of learning about it right now and understanding how it's going to apply to all the different layers of the business. But it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but the concept of doing better at what we do, I think everyone's pursuing. So that's, I think, the key thing that's going to happen.
Very different, the response from a digital perspective versus on the TV side. You've got the networks such as ABC or ESPN that have a very definitive response about relationships with buyers, but on the digital end, you've got people who are trying to drive efficiencies, and it's less about those relationships. So I think it's going to be very different when you ask that question to different people.
I think the greatest challenge there is just giving people within the industry the time to really understand the value of cross-platform. And I think we're at a turning point right now. We're at a threshold right now where through the SIM organization, we're going to be going through a period of transparency, evaluation among the biggest customers in the business, agencies, publishers, media companies, advertisers, and I think that's going to be a major step forward. The next big challenge after that period of evaluation, assuming that goes well, is going to be investment. Because this is investing in another layer, another incremental layer of research. And that's what I see as the next big challenge. And I'm hopeful that the value will be there to justify that expense.
Very see programmatic buying going really for media in general? I would probably say, we talked about this at yesterday's session, that I would say in about 5 years' time, very, very least, half of the industry will be doing it. Because I think it's about efficiency and efficacy. And I think programmatic is going to make it very efficient. But I think the sales process that ultimately comes back to each vendor is where the efficacy comes in.
Yeah, I got the jingle.
Well, I think that programmatic, there are two ways to look at programmatic. One is to look at it in terms of new metrics to evaluate audiences, and the other way is to look at it as real-time bidding and a new way to buy. And I'm very excited about the first because moving off of age and sex demos to more sophisticated targeting, I think is a very positive thing for the media and a very positive thing for advertisers. And certainly we have the metrics now. We have a lot of new metrics that can be added into the evaluation process, but they become very, very complicated for a normal human being to process, and we need the machines to do that. And I think that's what you will see people using programmatic research to better target and better choose and select media. What I don't think what I don't want to see happen, obviously, is that this is somehow results in the commoditization and that all the variables are not considered. So if it's used in an incomplete way, and all, not only do the demographic dimensions, the product usage dimensions, but also the psychographic dimensions, the communication dimensions, if they're not all built into the formula, then it can be dangerous. But if it's done properly, it will allow us to extend the media selection process beyond the scope that the human mind can process. And I think that's a positive thing. How long that's going to take, I think it's a gradual process. In the research that we did among the advertising community, the conclusion was, as far as the short term, it's going to be same transaction, different mindset. That it's going to be in the background, it's going to be going on, but when people sit down to negotiate, right now, they're going to go back to the safe metrics, and that's certainly what we're seeing in this upfront. We know this upfront is heavily informed by all the new data, but this upfront's pretty much conducted and going on along the same traditional transactional base. So it's going to take a while.